All right. Well, I am back keeping your love on. This is the core precepts we're building culture from in the Grand Rapids Dream Center, and really just as believers in the Lord Jesus Christ. I get excited about this because this is something I've been doing and living out of, learning to live out of really the last 20 plus years. This works in every environment, and this is what we believe to empower us really as believers in the Lord Jesus Christ, and therefore especially in our Dream Center environment. It's of utmost importance because a lot of the environments here have been affected by poverty, and that results in trauma a lot of times, or chaos, and we want to bring peace. So now we've already talked about a couple things. We're focusing in on prioritizing the goal of connection. And the question that you really have to stand back and ask yourself is, what goal are you operating under concerning the goal of connection? Now, you may or may not know. And so, what is connection? Well, it goes back to our greatest human need. And really, it's this. You may or may not know this, but the greatest human need we have is to know people and to be known for who we truly are, and not to be hidden. And so connection becomes a oneness of understanding yourself and others in a shared life experience. So here's something else that's important to know. Here's a myth with connection that, unfortunately, it's too bad a lot of people believe this. They believe that connection comes by shared agreement, and that is not true. Matter of fact, we're in such a big world, so vast, full of relationships. There is so many different perspectives for so many different reasons, and these perspectives should help us to see things in different ways. But certainly we are never going to have 100% agreement or even close. So agreement does not equal connection. Now, agreement can be good. I'm not shouting that down. And we need to learn how to collaborate and find agreement and whole other things, compromise. But really, connection is one of the greatest human needs. And so let's also look at a couple other things as we think about connection. We want to awaken to the goal of connection. So let me go back to another key question. What goal are you operating under? And really, if you really start to unpack this, there's really only two alternatives here. Are we aiming towards a goal of connection? Are we aim in our relationships, or are we aiming towards a goal of safe distance? Many people, unfortunately, fall into creating distance or safe distance because maybe a lot of our life experiences have just not been relationship environments or connection environments, or like those who've been affected by poverty where there's a lot of trauma and chaos. And so we've grown into, we're just creating distance and protecting ourselves everywhere we go. How do we start to unpack and get back to having meaningful relationships and connection? Well, we're excited to continue to grow that and cultivate that. I mentioned earlier, the goal of connection is definitely indicative of the Lord's heart. There could be some people, a very small percentage, who may think, well, I don't want this goal. They may think they want to stay safe. But it's important to realize in life, we need connections. We need bridges to accomplish things. And so we've got to be able to see and understand how humans are designed and created. So how do we effectively do a good job of pursuing and achieving the goal of connection? And I want to introduce another key word, and that is the word trust. Just imagine it, maybe even say it, say trust. Trust is like a currency. I might even phrase it this way: trust capital. When I build trust capital with people because I show them how valuable and important they are, and I do what I say I'm going to do in my relationships, that creates trust that allows me the ability to get closer to more people and to do more great things. And so trust grows when we create a safe place to exchange the truth about our thoughts, feelings, and needs with one another. So we're going to talk about 3 things that we must do to create a safe place in our relationships. Let's start with number 1. We need to get rid of fear-driven communication styles and learn to be powerful with how we assert or exchange the truth. Number 2, we need to learn to listen to other people or the other person in our relationships rather than, again, trying to get them to agree with us. Number 3, we need to get good at finding out what the other person needs so we can help meet those needs. Meeting one another's needs could be called the holy grail of trust building in relationships. I mean, let's just put ourselves in the position when we have some pretty big needs and somebody really, we can feel they're going out of their way to understand us and meet our need. It's just like, it's relieving. It's, I feel really good. I feel better. I feel happier. I feel peace. I feel cared for. So when we put ourselves in that position, we know how important that is. That's also where we've got to take the other position and go, man, that's the kind of person that I want to be. I'm aiming to be that person. And what's another bigger reason why? That's who God is. God is this person. And let's remember, if we're growing and thriving and we're drawing love from the love source, from God, we're going to be able to get to that powerful position where we're able to give love, meet needs everywhere we go. Even if somebody is not reciprocating it back to us, or somebody's even getting into disrespect, we go, well, no, I'm not moved because I'm powerful. I self-manage me. And although you might not be seeking the goal of connection with me, or there's this misunderstanding, I'm going to move towards the goal of connection. I'm going to be powerful because I choose to love. So we want to continue to bring back that foundation. And so as we continue to have this conversation, here's another question you need to ask yourself as we talk about prioritizing the goal of connection. Do you really know or understand how people experience you? Or maybe most people experience you. And maybe we don't have a clue. But maybe we do have an idea, and if we get honest with ourselves, we can go, okay, people experience me okay. Or go, oh, no, I think people experience me in a pleasant way. Maybe others of us go, man, I'm not doing that good in this season. I'm edgy all the time. And I don't think people are experiencing me that well for the most part. I don't have very many good days. But can we be honest? How do people experience us? And then can we start to say, hey, if I think this is where I'm at, can I make a shift? If we have no idea, this is where I would challenge somebody to grow, but as we do this, we've got to be mature. Can we get feedback from people that are closest to us? When the time is right, can we say to somebody, tell me, in the best way you can, how do you experience me in our relationship? But then you got to get ready to be quiet, and you got to get ready to listen, and you got to also maybe be ready to expect to hear some things you weren't sure you were going to hear. And that's where we have to sit back and listen and not react, not respond back, because we're about to maybe get good information from somebody. Now, they might give us information that speaks nothing to our heart, but it's still information of how they're experiencing us. And we might go, oh, goodness, they're experiencing me in not a good way. I need to think about, if I'm going to be connected to people, the goal of connection, I need to take that feedback and start to tweak or adjust myself in how people are experiencing me, because I want people to experience me with love. Because again, I'm powerful, I choose love, and I want to be connected. And so, do people experience me? Here's some other ways to think about it: safe, inviting, and understanding and empathetic. Or do people say, I don't feel safe around you. I don't feel like you understand me. If that's the case, we need to be ready to make a shift, and we got to grow. Do people experience me harsh, not caring, distant, and only caring about my own point of view or my own needs? Now, there's different communication styles, and this can help us get an idea on what is a natural communication style we have or we've fallen into. And then if we understand these, maybe we can work on how people are experiencing us by continuing to adjust our communication style. So one, there's the aggressive communicator. And this person communicates a message that says, my needs and I are important and you're not. And that's just typically how an overly aggressive communicator can come across. Doesn't mean it's their heart, but that can be the message that comes across. And if that's how I'm communicating, I need to be aware of that. Number two, there's the passive communicator. And the message oftentimes they're sending is, they're communicating my needs and I aren't important, everyone else is. So they seem to always go with the flow, and they're always serving others. And again, serving others, that's great, but they're not bringing voice to what they need, or a very much needed opposite perspective in a situation. They're not bringing a voice. So therefore, they may have that feeling of they might be constantly getting run over, but nobody knows it. So that's not healthy either, the passive communicator. Number three is the passive aggressive communicator. And granted, every single human being can fall into any one of these categories. This oftentimes can be one of the most difficult communication styles. And that's somebody that might communicate a message like this that says, you and your needs, they're important, but secretly not really. And oftentimes, sometimes somebody that's like this, maybe they can come across, some might even say, they might use the word political. Don't run too far in your mind with that word. But that kind of idea or word says, oh, out here everything's okay, but behind here I'm really not okay. And, or I really don't like you. Obviously, that's very difficult if we've got relationships like that, or we're communicating like that, because there's a lot of insincerity that can be attached to that communication style. And lastly is the communication style that we really want to hone in on and we want to grow towards. That's the assertive communication style. Your needs and you are very important, but so am I, and so are my needs. How do we work together to give each other value? And that's the most ideal communication style we want to grow in.